Hey everybody, welcome to Board Game Heaven. My name is Raymond, and in this video I'll be taking a look at the Kickstarter preview page for the Tanares RPG for 5th edition by Dragori Games, the makers of Arena, the contest, and its expansion, Tanares Adventures. So the Kickstarter page is going to go live on August the 31st, and you can pledge on the first day to get a really large dragon miniature, which I will show you in a bit. So let's switch over to the website and take a look at it right now. Okay, so this is the Kickstarter preview page. I'll put a link to that in the description below so you can have a look at it yourself. And should you not have a lot of time for this video, I'm trying to keep it short, but there's one thing that I want to stress in this video. If you are at all interested in an RPG, a fantasy RPG based on the whole Tanares world from Arena the Contest, and well, you're interested in that, and you might also pick up some new miniatures in this campaign, just go ahead and click this notify on launch button, so you will get notified. You will get an email when the project launches, because like I said, in the first 24 hours on the first day you will get this huge dragon miniature for free if you pledge for the books or one of the higher pledges. So anyway, let's go over the page here. Here is the launch date, like I said, August 31st. There are several pledge levels that you can take, which we will take a look at as well. And here is what you can expect. So we've got the 3 core books in a nice cardboard sturdy slipcase. There will be a large world map, which is double-sided, nice map. And there are several expansion packs and a GM screen as well. So let's just scroll through this page. I won't go into too much detail because you can take a look at this yourself when you have time, and I won't take up too much of your time doing this. And there are also some PDFs that you can download, which I will briefly show you, but you can also download them and read them at your leisure. All right, so it's an RPG for 5th edition rules. So if you are familiar with 5th edition, then you should be able to jump into this no problem. So here it is again, the day 1 dragon, which is a $29 value miniature, and as you can see next to a regular miniature, it is quite large. Alright, so it comes in its own box, and you can use it in boss versus boss if you're playing Arena the Contest with the dragons. They had a dragon pack in the last expansion for Tanares Adventures, and you could also get them painted. So that's a thing you can do with that dragon as well. There is, which is very special, a solo mode for the RPG. This is quite unique because usually with an RPG you need a dungeon master to run the game, but with the solo mode you can actually play it alone or even cooperative with friends without a game master for 1 to 4 players. It's a 300 plus card deck with a booklet of the rules, of course. So that's very interesting. I'm pretty interested in that. I love playing cooperatively. And so the basic core books for the RPG are these. So you have the campaign source book, which is this book right here. So it tells you what you can expect from that. And knowing Dragori Games, they have put a lot of time and effort into creating their world. They already did when they launched Arena the Contest, and even more so for Tanares Adventures, which took the smaller cooperative campaign from Arena the Contest and built on that to make it a huge epic experience cooperative campaign. So they already had a lot of that written, and this RPG just takes that another step higher. And yeah, so it's a huge world. They have a big history, lots of lore that you can read. It talks about wars being waged in the past, and every time big wars broke out, the dragons would awaken and they would unleash their fury upon the world, and huge cataclysms would ensue. And people nowadays, in this era that you're playing in, consider that a curse. They call it a curse, the Malrokian curse, as it is called. And to prevent this curse from happening again, they have decreed that all conflicts are now no longer waged with wars, but are fought in the arena from arena to contest. And both parties will send forth their champions, team versus team battle, which is basically what the game was about. So here you can read a sample of this source book. So I'll show you that in a bit. Second book is the Player's Guide, which of course has more lore. It has the new characters. There are 4 new characters that you can play. It explains the races and classes that you can play. So all of that is in the Player's Guide. And you will have these really cool looking character sheets as well, and tables as you are used to from regular 5th edition books, with some background and these tables of how you will level your character. And also there is a sample available of that on the website. Then the third book is called Adventure in the Realms of Madness, which is a big lore book, again, with a story that you can play. So here it tells you it has a branching non-linear story, and you start at level 3 and you can play up to level 12, it says here. I read 13 somewhere else, but about that level. It again has the rich background. This is the Realm of Madness. There are some monsters there as well. We actually saw some of those in the Tanares Adventures Kickstarter previously. So there's a treasure hunt, a murder investigation, a prison escape, and more. All kinds of different campaign stories that you can play. It has an open world. There's time pressure. There are plot twists, etc. It says it all here. So I'll scroll through that, because also for that you can again read a sample. So and those aren't just a couple of pages. These are like 30-page PDFs that you can read from what they already had finished. So we got new classes, new races, and more here. There's some new classes here. They are depicted here, and some of the new races. So we have the Dragon Blade, which is kind of like a paladin, but I want to also point out that all these new classes may seem like classes that you already know, like the paladin, like the rogue, but they're not just reskins. They aren't just, you know, taken from any 5th edition, the standard things, and given a new name. Dragori have really created new classes with new skills and new abilities. So they are quite different from what you already know. There is the Madwalker here. There's the Elementalist, which is pretty clear, of course, harnesses the elements like sorcerers, and the Redeemer. We'll see those again in the PDFs in a bit. And then there are new races. So we have the Taimaku, which are these kind of creatures, these humanoids. And I believe they have this background of wanting a balanced kind of lifestyle. So like a jack of all trades, they don't want to excel in one thing. They want to excel in everything. So that's a pretty interesting thing to do. You kind of want to balance your traits, you know, your skills. And also I've read that if you manage to keep all of those values within a certain level, so, you know, you don't have one that's above all the others. If everything is within about 2 points, then you get an extra bonus. So it, you know, it pays to keep everything at the same level, which is pretty cool. And then there's the Gloom Folk, as we see here. These are like some form of dark elves hybrid with a scorpion here. I've seen a picture of a spider as well. So that's pretty cool. And they dwell in what is called the penumbral plane. And there are also the Cirrus, which are these creatures, most ancient species on Tanares. Then here are the Kemet, As you can see, they are tied to portals and the study of death and the occult, so kind of like dark elves, I want to say, but different again. So once again, these races may also sometimes ring a bell, but they've written them with their own background, their own story. There are some subclasses as well. The pledge tiers, which is what we are here for. So this is the interesting bit. You can just get one digital book, which is a $30 pledge. But of course, you're gonna want all three if you want to play this, and unless you just want the adventures and want to kind of use that in your regular, for example, D&D games. But you can also get a hardcover book for $50. Now we will see that getting more books and more digital books is of course cheaper in the long run, because all the digital books cost $69. You have everything digitally, including the character sheets and the maps. So there's plenty of content there. But then this is the interesting one, I think personally. That is the Essentials kit, which will get you the hard slipcase with the 3 physical books plus the digital books. You also get a Game Master screen and the map for the game, which is double-sided. So one side has like the entire world, and the other side, I believe, has the Imperial City. With it, you also get a free exclusive expansion called the Classes Pack. So this has the 4 new classes that you can use to play with their miniatures. And you can use those in all the other games as well. So you can use those in Arena Contest. They have their own cards, they have their own player boards or sheets. And of course, if you pledge on day 1, here it is again, the giant dragon, the gold dragon. So that's what you get in the Essentials pack. Then here are new miniatures and new cards that you can also pledge for. And if you just want those miniatures for your Tanares Adventures board game or your Arena the Contest board game, you can also get this pledge level. You don't need to get the books. So for $179, you get all of these. And again, that pledge will also get you that dragon if you pledge on day 1. So it has a character pack, a mystical pack with some new monsters, a villain pack, a scenario pack which has like 3D scenery, and again that classes pack with the 4 new classes that we've seen before. In the super kit, it goes into more detail. The super kit gets you everything. It's $249, and it gets you this huge penumbral dragon miniature, which is in the mystical pack here. So this is another huge, really cool looking dragon, and you can see the detail on this sculpt. And what I've seen from the new sculpts that Dragori have made for Tanares Adventures, these are going to look really, really nicely detailed. So that's the first pack. The mystical pack also has these new miniatures as well. So greed, anger, penumbral fear. These are like monsters that you can fight. There's Huradrin, the penumbral druid, Sarah the seer, and Zalir the scholar. Alright, moving on, we have the villain pack. Now, villain pack, of course, has new villains, so we have these 6 cool-looking villains with their cards, so you can use those as well in your games. Another box is the character pack, so we get new characters. We get Cirrus, a Taimaku, we get Kilanya, we get Kemet, which is also one of those new classes. We get a Gloomfolk, and another of those classes, the Scorpion People, and Mbolo. So I believe 4 are those, or are these all the new races, the new races that you can play? No, 4 new species, here it says. So the Taimaku, Cirrus, Gloomfolk, and Kemet. So that means that Kalenia and Mbolo are unique characters, and the rest are the new races. Here is the scenario pack with the scenery, 3D scenery. As you can see, it has some barricades here and bigger ones, and even bigger ones there, some walls, barricades mostly. We have this pedestal with the book on it. We have another pedestal with a key, a pedestal with a like an anchor, a rope and an anchor, a grappling hook, if you will, and one with a torch. So that's pretty cool too, like items that your adventurers can find. And of course, it also includes the books that we've seen before, both physical and digital, with the Game Master screen, with the map, and the classes pack that we've seen before as well. And of course, for this package, the same deal. If you pledge on day one, you get the huge dragon. All right, so this is a breakdown of all the pledges and of the add-ons. So here you see if you're interested in the books, you can pledge for this, and it tells you what you get in the Essentials kit, or in the Super kit. You of course get both. And this is basically, this tells you if you want the RPG content, you want to get this, and if you want the board game content, you want to get this. So it's pretty clear. For the board game content, you want the miniatures and cards. For the RPG content, you want the Essentials kit. And if you want both, you get the Super kit. The Gold Dragon, again, is free day one. You can get it painted for an added upgrade of $29. The Dragon Collection that we saw in Tanares Adventures is also available here, even painted if you want it, which has 5 dragons and a Dragon Queen. And the Solo Pack, which we saw earlier, is also available for $39. So, again, the Gold Dragon is also available as an add-on for $29 if you want an extra, or if you didn't pledge on day one. Again, Character Pack as an add-on, Classes Pack as an add-on. So you'll find if you add all of these values up, the packages are, of course, much better value. So the Villain Pack, again, the map and the screen themselves are also a $29 add-on. And here is the solo mode again. The Mystical Pack is $49 if you get it separately. The Scenario Pack as well. And here is the Dragon Collection from the previous Kickstarter campaign. So it comes with, of course, cards to play them, 9 boss pads for all of the dragons. It has the Dragon Queen with the miniature and the cards. And it has the White Dragon, the Black Dragon, the Red Dragon, the Blue Dragon, and the Undead Dragon, which is also pretty huge. Here is a video of them, which I won't show you here. You can go ahead and take a look at that yourself. And of course, Dragori Games wouldn't be Dragori Games if they didn't have stretch goals. So you will also get lots of cool looking stretch goals. I can't wait to see what they are. Alright, then they tell you where you can find Dragori Games. I suggest you give them a follow if you're interested in their content and in their games. And of course the page will have several reviews that you can also view. I've watched several of them and they are pretty interesting. So go ahead and give those a watch. This is just information if you're new to Kickstarter and why they chose Kickstarter. There's even a production timeline, so they have projected that in April, May 22, everything will be fulfilled for the RPG and Tanares Adventures with the Dragon Collection. And the first wave of this is already fulfilled. Some people will have already received some of that. And of course, Arena the Contest was already fulfilled long ago. As you can see, it's pretty much worldwide friendly. So that's good as well. And that is the page. Here are the people on the team, Dragori Games. And so that's the Kickstarter page. So now let's quickly take a look. I will also show you the Dragori website. So here's the Dragori Games website. And here as well, you can check out, there's of course a link to the Kickstarter page. You can sign up for information if you just enter your email there. And you can download the PDFs here as well. But we'll go through those in a bit. So it kind of explains everything I just said here as well. So go ahead and give that a look. 2. Right, let's switch to the PDFs real quick. So this is the preview of the campaign source book, and we'll take a look at this. And this basically goes over 10 things to know about Tanares. I'll try to skip through this pretty fast. You can read this yourself. There's plenty to read. It's a pretty nice PDF to check. So let's have a look at the first thing. So the first thing is that, like I said before, a divine decree prohibits the Tanarians from waging war because of that cataclysmic event, this curse that they call it. And apparently the faceless emperor was the only survivor of the most recent cataclysm, and he became emperor, and he put that decree, that rule in place. And so it starts right away with one of the new classes, which is the Dragon Blade. I'm going through this really quick. Some more lore here. So they say that the second thing you need to know is that civilization is quite recent, and there are plenty of sites and secrets to find and to explore. And then the second class is the Elementalist here. Got some really nice art as well. There are 3 types of dragons. You have the avatar dragons, the pure and the bred dragons, and it tells you how you can interact with the dragons and how you can find them. And basically, 4th point here is that the game master decides if the 4 regions of the world, which is simply north, south, east, and west, either still has a dragon or that the dragon is already dead, which can result, like they say, in 16 different scenarios. You could also just start your first scenario with all of the dragons alive, and then the next time you play a new scenario, some of them might have been killed. Maybe your party was the cause of that. You never know. That's some of the things you can do. 5th point here is the downfall of Arcana and the rise of the Empire. So here is the Faceless Emperor that I just mentioned. And it also touches on, you know, the arena and where battles are fought from basically the first game. Here it says, in chapter 6, the arenas are the new battlefields. And so, warring factions basically send their champions into the arena, and there they fight to determine who wins. It also shows you the classes from the core game with their logos here, which is pretty interesting. And some of that you might have already read in Arena the Contest, because that also has quite a lore book. The fragmentation of the world is not merely physical. There is a separation between Tanares and its closest planes. So there's this penumbral plane as well. And this huge monster that you see, which was in Tanares Adventures, is part of that. So you can travel between planes too. Chapter 8 says you may build a team that is greater than the sum of its player characters, and it can quickly become one of the most powerful units in the world. So that's basically telling you, if you cooperate, you can do more, you can achieve more than on your own. And that's, another big part of this game. So go ahead and give that a read. It's really interesting. It's really fun. There's not a whole lot of text, mostly images, but it gives you a good idea of what this story is about and what the world is about. You can choose your sides, like being good or evil or neutral or chaotic, stuff like that is basically kind of handled a little bit differently here. And there's different factions and groups that you can join. And finally, there are some complementary resources for you to use in your game. So that is the first PDF for you to read. I'll have a look at the adventures book. No, let's take a look at the guide first. So this is a sample of the player's guide. Really, really cool looking art. Of course, in this PDF, this preview, they do have a little bit of a promotion here about their Kickstarter and their dragon. And here is again the Dragon Blade, but here you can see what it kind of looks like in the handbook, with their flavor text and their explanation how that works, and their leveling table here, like first level to 20th level, their proficiency bonuses, their features. They have a draconic power level, and the draconic powers that they know. The Elementalist, once again, this still is of the Dragon Warriors, so that's just some art for basically the next page. But it tells you everything they can do, the class features, their draconic powers. Let's move on. Draconic Intuition, they have an ultimate power, just like in Arena the Contest. There are Dragon Spirits. Here is their power list, all kinds of powers that you can discover. So that promises to be a lot of, cool stuff to use in your RPGs. Draconic powers here. Here's the Dragon Queen again. Some really cool art featured in the book. And here is the Mad Walker. Again, with their table, some really cool text to read. Their features, penumbral shapes. So they are connected to the penumbral plane, which is pretty interesting. Here is one of these new races. Some optional rules. So all these classes are also quite different. So here we have some monsters. So we have an Aberrant Mutation, first level, and their attacks and what they can do. There is, for example, an Arachne Scout, which is a large aberration, neutral evil, really reminiscent of your standard 5th edition books, but of course with new content. So more monsters here with their images, their illustrations next to them. It's really, really cool looking. So I cannot wait to read more about this. Here it tells you about Lost Magic, the Lost Magic researcher. And here is one of the new races as well. So, as you may already gather from just these few pages, they put a lot of work and a lot of thought in this. This is not just, hey, let's make up some new classes based on what we already know. Let's give them a different name, put them in a book, and we're done. They really wrote all of this from the ground up, and it's honestly really interesting to read. I love reading all of this. But I'll leave that for you to discover. Otherwise, again, this video would take way too long, because once I get started on telling you about the backstory, I can ramble on for hours, and I wouldn't want to do that. So about the wars and everything now. And this is quite a thick PDF. This is, I think, well, we're already at page 37. And here is the Taimaku species and the things that they invent. And we have some new spells as well. So it just touches on all of these things that you will find in the book. Here is one of the character pages, right? Your character sheet. And as you can see, this is a really nice full color with these things that you can tick, your attributes here, things you can fill in, and that looks really, really nice. So I believe this was the last page here, double-sided sheet. And we get some additional powers here and some features and traits. And there's even some cards that you can already cut out to, print and play and test them already yourself, even before you have the books. So for the Dragon Blade here, and they have the character, they even name their characters. Ravel here. So same thing here with their cards. Here is the Wizard High Elf Kilania. And that just looks really cool. I mean, even just the illustrations here are really, really nicely done. Here's Embolo. And you'll remember seeing these on the Kickstarter page too as actual miniatures if you want to add that to your pledge as well. Alright, so that was this PDF, and again, a little bit of a flyer for the next Kickstarter. So let's have a look at the final PDF, which is a preview of the adventure book. All right, there we go. Really, really nice art. So it starts with this introduction here. Welcome to Tanares. You know, it tells you about the world and the structure of your adventure and formatting, etc. And we recommend that you read this book. Obviously, you need to read this book. And then it talks, you know, other references, story overview. It has a very logical structure. So you can just give that a read. And some more cool art, some background, the arenas once again. And, well, there's a lot of lore to read here. And here, chapter 1 starts with the trial. So that's basically where you start your adventure, with a trial. And I won't go into detail once again. I won't spoil it for you either. But it's kind of like the Dungeons and Dragons starter set, if you remember that, if you've ever played that. You're on a cart, you know, you're on a trip. You're accompanying somebody with a cart, basically, and you get ambushed. It's a bit of a known story, right? You get ambushed, you need to fight, and that's where it starts. And this is pretty fun too. You have these smaller skirmishes, you know, these smaller fights, because there are no wars because of the cataclysm, because of the curse. So these fights are fun and contained, and I really like that part of the game. I like that from Arena the Contest too. So it does have that kind of worked into the RPG. Some locations again. So as you're playing this game, you're going to be talking with NPCs, you're going to investigate things, and you're going to get answers from people. And the cool thing is that this book has these tables, right, with responses for all of these NPCs for the game master to read. And, you know, if these questions are asked, they have already all of these answers, which is great for a game master, because these are questions that the players are likely to ask, and you can also kind of nudge them in that direction as the game master, and you'll have all of these responses. That's wonderful. That makes your life as a dungeon master a lot easier. Okay, I'm gonna speed this up a little. So here, you know, about the people that you meet, and the noble houses. You know, these are all different and unique characters, and they all have their own background and their own story. And it's the player's task to find out what's going on in the adventure and who to talk to. So that's very interesting, I think. So here it talks about the penumbral plane. Also really cool. There's the map for it as well. The Phantom Fortress. Here is a smaller map of a place in the penumbral plane. So I'm just gonna scroll through this a bit faster, because I've already been at it for a while. Here's some cool maps again. I love seeing that, you know. It really helps the dungeon master if you have a lot of info. You just read through the story and you already know what the characters are going to be going through. So you can, you know, like put little bookmarks in the book as a reminder as well. But it's all set up in a very logical flow. You just go through the book. Here again, one of these tables with different characters and what relevant information they might have and where to find them. Here are some images, some illustrations of those characters. So more of that here. We're already at page 43. So, and this is just a preview. So yeah, this is going to be a lot of content. All right, here again about Arena the Contest. Here's actually an arena map that you can fight on, which is pretty nice. And well, some more interesting stuff here. Some really cool art. This is really nice, like a poster in the book. And here are some extra locations, some appendices, which are also very handy for the game master. You can just take your book and show it to the players. Look, you're now here, or you're now here. You can read the blurb or have them read it. And you can see here on the map where that is located. And these appendices are very, very handy, I think. So another location here. Specializations are explained here. There are some, some things that you will find. So I will go through them really fast because I don't want to spoil it. But you can also, again, hand these out when you get at that point in the story and just have the players read that letter that they got or this clue that they found. So that's super cool. Here is actually a sketch of a map. So all of that is super nice. And this, I love this. This is like the witness list. So where you're playing the adventure with the research, you're basically researching some kind of crime, and you've asked all these people questions. These are all these people. These are all the NPCs here, and that's just a really, really nice feature in this book, especially for the Dungeon Master. You can just, again, take this page, show it to the players, and look, you've talked to these people. If there's anything you want to know, you can visit them again, or I can tell you what they said again, or something like that. That's just really helpful. There's an appendix with some magic items. Penumbral plane encounters. There's actually a character that's explained here, Tauram. Some monsters, of course. There's a whole section with monsters. And you will find plenty of cool artwork of all these unique and interesting characters and monsters. With, of course, their tables, all of their stats. And we're already at page 75. So this is the end of this book. Again, tells you about the Kickstarter, some really cool looking goblin here. And that is everything in these PDFs. So that was it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that was informative. You can find all that information and these PDFs on the Kickstarter page. Again, links in the description below. I hope you enjoyed this video and hope it was helpful. It will launch on August 31st. Click that notify button. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click that bell icon to get notified whenever I upload a new video. You can also support what I do by visiting my Patreon page. Again, link in the description, or click the Patreon image at the end of this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Board Game Heaven.